Can be properly the spiritually powerful message of Godhead can be properly discussed only in a society of devotees, and it is greatly pleasing to hear in that association. Hmm. If one hears from devotees, the way of transcendental experience quickly opens, and gradually one attains firm faith that in due course develops into attraction and devotion. It's really amazing. So, I think I should really analyze this verse. Satam prasangam mama virya sampado. That satam prasangam, in the association of these saints or devotees, prasangam means very powerful association. Sangha means association. Prasanga means like really deep. Prasangam, mama virya. Mama virya means my heroic. Virya means heroic. Mama means my, it's possessive. Sambhada, talks. Mama virya sambhada. Bhavanti ritkarna. And in this way, it becomes from the ear to the heart. The transcendental sound enters into the ear and penetrates the heart. Rasayana katha. It is talks that are greatly pleasing, because like a rasayana is like a something that's medicinal but also very greatly pleasing. Tajoshana dasu apavargavartmani. And in this way, one proceeds on the path of liberation. The path of material entanglement is called pavarga, and apavarga means the opposite. Pa actually is broken out by the acharyas as pama, parishrama, boya, mritu, means hard work, foaming at the mouth, basically, ultimately death, boya, fear, which really characterizes or summarizes what we experience in this material world. So anyways, apavarga is the opposite. Apavarga vartmani, vartmani means path. So one proceeds on the path of Krishna consciousness, and then what happens? Shraddha, one gets faith, and after you get faith, then you execute devotional service, of course, utilizing that faith or being fixed in that faith. One becomes Shraddha Ratir, one gets a taste for hearing and chanting, a taste for serving the devotees, a taste for loving Krishna. Satam prasanga, let's see. Shraddha Ratir Bhakti, and ultimately one gets love. So that's what's being described here. So this is our whole process of devotional service and the secret of advancing. So Prabhupada explains this verse appears in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 3rd canto, 25th chapter, text 25, where Kapila as Lord Kapila replies to the questions of his mother Devahuti about the process of devotional service. As one advances in devotional service, the process becomes progressively clearer and more encouraging. Unless one gets this spiritual encouragement by following the instructions of the spiritual master, it is not possible to make advancement. Therefore, one's development of a taste for executing these instructions is the test of one's devotional service. Wow. A taste for executing these instructions. Wow. Is the test of one's devotional service. Initially, one must develop confidence by hearing the science of devotion from a qualified spiritual master. Then, as he associates with devotees and tries to adopt the means instructed by the spiritual master in his own life, his misgivings and other obstacles are vanquished by his execution of devotional service. And of course, those misgivings are called anarthas, or also lack of faith, which is connected with the anarthas. Anarthas are things like lust, anger, greed, illusion, envy. Wonderful things that we all are attached to. And then in strong attachment for the transcendental service of the Lord, that's ashakti, develops as he continues listening to the messages of Godhead. And if he steadfastly proceeds in this way, he is certainly elevated to spontaneous love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the essence of this is to associate with the devotees who are advanced in devotional service and hear from these devotees, and that sound vibration changes your heart. Okay, text 61, very important verse. Ishvara Surupa Bhakta Tanra Adishtan Bhaktira Hare Krishnara Satata Vishram. Now, one thing you'll notice is at the end of the line, I do not pronounce the A. This is very important in Bengali. Bhaktira, it's just, in other words, if it wasn't Bengali, well, it is Bengali, it would be Bhaktira Hridaya Krishnara Satata Vishrama. No, it's Bhaktira Hridaya Krishnara Satata Avishram. But it's Bengali poetry. So, a pure devotee constantly engages in the loving service of the Lord, is identical with the Lord who is seated in his heart. And Prabhupada says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is one without a second, and therefore he is all-powerful. He has inconceivable energies, of which three are principal. The devotee is considered to be one of these energies, never the energetic. Of course, the three energies are Vishnu Shakti Para Prokta, Kshetragyakya Tata Para Vidyakarma Sanganya, Tritiya Shakti Ishate. Material energy, spiritual energy, and us, the Jiva soul. The energetic is always the Supreme Lord. The energies are related to him for the purpose of eternal service. A living entity in the conditioned stage can uncover his aptitude for serving the absolute truth by the grace of Krishna and the spiritual master. Then the Lord reveals himself within his heart, and he can know that Krishna is seated in the heart of every pure devotee. Krishna is actually situated in the heart of every living entity, but only a devotee can realize this fact. Good. Another important verse from the Bhagavatam. Wow. This is so important because this shows the Lord's love for his devotees and for everyone, and the devotees' love for Krishna. Another important nutshell verse. Sadhavo hridayam ayam sadhanam hridayam tvaham maranyatena janati aham tevyo managapi. Saints are my heart, and only I am their hearts. They do not know anyone but me, and therefore I do not recognize anyone besides them as mine. So this is perfect reciprocation. In other words, saints are in Krishna's heart, and Krishna is in the saints' hearts. And because the saints do not know anything else or anyone else other than Krishna, Krishna doesn't know anyone else other than them. I mean, of course, Krishna knows everybody, but as his Krishna takes possession of the devotees. Wow. And the devotee takes possession of Krishna. The devotee belongs to Krishna, and Krishna belongs to the devotee. And of course, that's the principle of the highest aspect of pure devotional service, which is the only means of controlling or attracting Krishna. That's from Nectar Devotion. Purport. This verse appears in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, 4th chapter, text 68, in connection with a misunderstanding between Durvasa Muni and Maharaj Ambarish. As a result of this misunderstanding, Durvasa Muni tried to kill the king when the Sudarshan Chakra, the celebrated weapon of Godhead, appeared on the scene for the devoted king's protection. When the Sudarshan Chakra attacked Durvasa Muni, he fled in fear of the weapon and sought shelter from all the great demigods in heaven. Not one of them was able to protect him, and therefore Durvasa Muni prayed to Lord Vishnu for forgiveness. Lord Vishnu advised him, however, that if he wanted forgiveness, he had to get it from Maharaj Ambarish, not from him. In this connection, Lord Vishnu spoke this verse. So, of course, Durvasa Muni is called Durvasa Muni because he has a bad temper. And you have the story of Maharaj Ambarish fasting for 40 some odd days. He was 41, I forget the exact amount. He was getting ready to break his fast. It was part of the ritual. He had to break his fast, but Durvasa appears on the scene. And then Durvasa goes to take his bath before taking prasadam. And the time for breaking the fast for Maharaj Ambarish is running out. And he understands that if he breaks the fast or if he eats before his guest, it's a great offense. So he asks his Brahmins, and the Brahmins say, you can take a little water, which is simultaneously breaking a fast and not breaking a fast. So he does that. Muni gets angry, pulls one of the hairs out of his head, creates a big demon who tries to kill Ambarish Maharaj. And the Sudarshan Chakra comes out and destroys the demon, goes chasing after Durvasa Muni, and Durvasa Muni goes all over, can't escape. Eventually he's told by Lord Vishnu, go take shelter at the devotee's feet whom you offended. And that was that was Maharaj Ambarish. And he gets forgiven, and from that point forward, they were good friends. They lived happily ever after. The Lord, being full and free from problems, can wholeheartedly care for his devotees. His concern is how to elevate and protect all those who have taken shelter at his feet. The same responsibility is also entrusted to the spiritual master. The bona fide spiritual master's concern is how the devotees who have surrendered to him as a representative of the Lord may make progress in devotional service. It's a heavy burden. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always mindful of the devotees who fully engage in cultivating now, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. And the next verse is also important. Bhavadvira bhagavatas tirtha bhutta swayam vivo tirti varanti tirtani swantastena gadavrta. This is from the Bhagavatam too. Saints of your caliber are themselves places of pilgrimage. Because of their purity, they are constant companions of the Lord, and therefore they can purify even the places of pilgrimage. Now you notice these particular verses are glorifying the devotees and association with the devotees and the importance of association with devotees. Purport. This verse was spoken by Maharaja Yudhishthira the Vidura in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 13th chapter, text 10. Maharaja Yudhishthira was receiving his saintly uncle Vidura, who had been visiting sacred places of pilgrimage. Maharaj Yudhishthira told Vidura that pure devotees like him are personified holy places. Pause for a second while the internet stabilizes. That pure devotees like him are personified holy places because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always with them in their hearts. By their association, sinful persons are freed from sinful reactions, and therefore, wherever a pure devotee goes is a sacred place of pilgrimage. The importance of holy places is due to the presence there of such pure devotees. And any place that the pure devotee resided is considered a sacred place. That's why we preserve many of the places where Prabhupada resided. Okay, next, back to the Bengali. Se bhaktagan haya dvivida prakar, panishad gana heka sadaka gana ar. Such pure devotees are of two types: personal associates, parashats, and neophyte devotees, sadakas. Perfect servitors of the Lord are considered his personal associates, whereas devotees endeavoring to attain perfection are called neophytes. Among the associates, some are attracted by the opulences of the personality of Godhead, and others are attracted by the nuptial love of Godhead. That's the conjugal love. The former devotees are placed in the realm of Vaikuntha to render reverential devotional service, whereas the latter devotees are placed in Vrindavan for the direct service of Sri Krishna. So here, Prabhupada is indicating that everyone in Goloka Vrindavan is assisting in the conjugal loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. Prabhupada's indirectly indicating that, and it's a fact. Whether you're a blade of grass, whether you're a cow, whether you're a cowherd boy, whether you're a cloud in the sky, whether you're a fruit tree, whether you're situated in the parental relationship with Krishna, whatever your relationship, it's all meant to assist in Radha Krishna loving affairs. More Bengali. Ishvarera avatara heti itina prakar amshavatara guna avatar shaktavesha avatara tritiya mat Angsavatara Purusha Matsyadikayata. There are three categories of incarnations of Godhead: partial incarnations, qualitative incarnations, and empowered incarnations. The Purushas and Matsya are example of partial incarnations. Purusha means the Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, Shiradakshay Vishnu. Okay? And Matsya is a fish incarnation. Okay? It's a partial incarnation. And then, Brahma Vishnu Shiva Tin Gunavatare Gan Shakyavesha Sanakari Prithuvyasa Muni. I think the I we pronounce. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are qualitative incarnations. In other words, they deal with the qualities of the modes of nature. Empowered incarnations are those like the Kumaras, King Prithu, and Mahamuni Vyasa, the compiler of the Vedas. And also Srila Prabhupada is an empowered incarnation. It's called Shaktavesh Avatar. Okay? That's pretty easy to understand. Let's just go back a little bit. So the first one was the partial incarnation. We're talking about portions of plenary portions, or plenary portions and portions of plenary portions, or portions of portions and plenary portions. And then the second type were the qualitative, dealing with the qualities of the modes of nature. And then we're getting ahead of ourselves. And then, of course, the Shaktavesh avatars. Of course, there are other categories too, if you really get precise, and we're going to get into that later on in the Caitanya Church. You got the Lila avatars. You got, of course, you mentioned the Guna avatars. You have the Yuga avatars and other types of avatars. Okay, text 68. Virupehai Bhagavanera Prakash Eteta Prakashahai Areta Vilas. The personality of Godhead exhibits himself in two kinds of forms, Prakash and Vilas. The Supreme Lord expands his personal forms in two primary categories. Prakash forms are manifested by Lord Krishna for his pastimes and their features. Let the internet catch up to us. And so the Prakash forms are exactly like his. Okay, you got it? When Lord Krishna married 16,000 queens in Dwarka, he did so in 16,000 Prakash expansions. Similarly, during the Rasa dance, he expanded himself in identical Prakash forms to dance beside each and every gopi simultaneously. When the Lord manifests his Vilas expansions, however, they are all somewhat different in their bodily features. Remember that. Prakash is precisely the same. That's how you remember the P, Prakash, precisely the same. And Vilas means very little different, but different. All right. Anyway, they're just giving you different memorization tools. So his Vilas expansions, however, are all somewhat different in their bodily features. Lord Balaram is the first Vilas expansion of Lord Krishna, and the four-handed Narayan forms in Vaikuntha expand from Balaram. There's no difference between the bodily forms of Shri Krishna and Balaram, except that their bodily colors are different. Similarly, Sri Narayana Vaikuntha has four hands, whereas Krishna has only two. The expansions of the Lord who manifest such bodily differences are known as Vilasa Vigrahas. It means Vilas forms. It's pretty easy to understand. So Prakash and Vilas. So even though they're different in their appearance, Vilas forms are different in their appearance, still it's the same person, but just looking different. Advaita, Achyuta, Anadir, Ananta, Rupam. Ananta Rupam means unlimited forms, but Advaita, he's one. He's non-dual. Basically one, which is the same thing as non-dual. So, still Krishna. I'll tell you a story that illustrates that. Once upon a time in Braj, Krishna wanted to hide from the gopis. And so he thought the perfect disguise is I will disguise myself as God. Because nobody would think that God and I are the same. So Krishna manifests himself as Narayan, four arms. Okay, that's very nice. And so the gopis, they see God. And naturally, they're God conscious, so they offer obeisances to God. Please accept our obeisances, God. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. No, of course they probably didn't know Prabhupada. So they offered their obeisances. And what do they say to God? My dear God, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Please show us or tell us where Krishna is. They didn't know that Krishna is the same as Narayan. Whereas, in a few minutes after that, the best devotee, the best gopi, our Ishtadev, devotee, came before Krishna, Shrimati Radharani, and Krishna couldn't keep the extra two arms. And the arms kept disappearing. He kept trying, let me get my arms back. And they just kept disappearing. And Krishna could not hide from his dear most beloved. And there's a temple at that spot where this particular pastime took place, in right near Govardhan. It's called the Chaturbhuj Temple, and there's a deity, one of the original deities that was installed by Brajanabha, the great-grandson of Krishna, and he has four arms. Beautiful deity. Beautiful, beautiful deity. And when I showed everybody the Govardhan Parikrama, then I showed that particular deity, and we were able to get some pictures of that deity, even though you're not allowed to take pictures of the deity through some tricks which I can't mention. But we do have some beautiful pictures of those deities. Okay, so remember, Vilas and Prakash. Prakash is the same form, Vilas is a different form. Got it. Okay. So, next verse. Ekai vigraha yari hai bahurup akareta bedanahi ekai swarup maisha vivahe yache yache kaila ras ihake kaye krishnara mukhya prakash. Beautiful verse. When the personality of Godhead expands himself in many forms, all non-different in their features, as Lord Krishna did when he married 16,000 queens, and when he performed his rasa dance, such forms of the Lord are called manifested forms, prakasha vigrahas. Remember, prakash means exactly the same, vigraha means form. Okay, that's very easy to understand. Chitram bhaitai tadekena vapusha yugapat pratak graheshu dvishta adviyashta sahasram striya eka udavahat. It is astounding that Lord Shri Krishna, who is one without a second, expanded himself into 16,000 similar forms, Prakash, to marry 16,000 queens in their respective homes. This verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 69th chapter, text 2. Rasotsava sampravrito gopi mandala manditaha yogeshvarena krishnena tasam adye dvayor dvayoho. When Lord Krishna, Shri Krishna, or Lord Krishna, surrounded by groups of coward girls, began the festivities of the rasa dance, the Lord of all mystic powers placed himself between each two girls. That's Prakasha again. This verse is also quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 33rd chapter, text 3. Another Sanskrit verse. Pravishtena grahitanam kante swanikatam striyaha yam manyeran avastavat vimana shatta sankulam. Divauka samsadaranam atyotchukyavrtatmanam tatodundupayo nedhur nipetur pushpa vrishtayaha. When the coward girls of Krishna thus joined together, each girl thought that Krishna was dearly embracing her alone. To behold this wonderful pastime of the lords, the denizens of heaven and their wives, all very eager to see the dance, flew in the sky in their hundreds of airplanes. They showered flowers and beat sweetly on drums. It's another quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam, of course, the 10th canto, 33rd chapter, texts 3 to 4. Anekatra prakatyata rupasya ekasya yakata sarvatra swarupaiva saprakasha itiryate. Okay. If numerous forms, all equal in their features, are displayed simultaneously, such forms are called prakasha, vigrahas of the Lord. Same thing. This is a quote from the Lagu Bhagavatamrita 121, compiled by Srila Rupa Goswami. Okay. Ekai vigraha kintu akare haya an aneka prakasha haya vilasa taram nam. But when the numerous forms are slightly different from one another, they are called vilas vigrahas. Okay. Another Sanskrit verse. Sarupam anyakaram yatasya bhati vilasataha prayanatma samam shaktya savilaso nigadyate. When the Lord displays numerous forms with different features by his inconceivable potency, such forms are called vilasa vigrahas. It's another quotation from the Lagu Bhagavatamrita 1:15. So I think you can remember these designations after you hear so many examples. Yache Baladeva Paravyome Narayan Yache Vasudeva Pradyumnadi Sankurshan. It's Bengali. Examples of such Vilasa Vigrahas are Baladev, Narayan, and Vaikuntadam, and the Chatur Vyuha, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Ishvarara Shakti Haya Etina Prakar Ekalakshmi Gana Pure Mahisha Ganahar Raja Gopi Ganahara Sabate Pradhan Rajendra Nandana Yate Swayam Bhagavan. The energies, consorts of the Supreme Lord, are of three kinds: the Lakshmis and Vaikunthas, the queens in Dwarka, and the gopis in Vrindavan. The gopis are the best of all, for they have the privilege of serving Sri Krishna, the primeval Lord, the son of the king of Braja. This is such a wonderful part of the Caitanya Charitamrta. It's ecstasy. Swayam Rupa Krishnera Kaya Vyuha Tanra Sama Bhakta Sakite Haya Tanhara Avaran. The personal associates of the supreme primeval Lord Sri Krishna are his devotees who are identical with him. He is complete with his entourage of devotees, and these devotees are with him. Sri Krishna and his various personal expansions are non-different in potential power. These expansions are associated with further secondary expansions or servitor expansions, who are called devotees. So we are, in one sense, expansions of Krishna. Mami Vangsa Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. But also Manashatstani Indriyani Prakritistani Karshati. Okay? Bhakta Adi Kramad Kaila Savara Vandan Esabara Vandana Sarva Shubera Karan. Now I have worshipped all the various levels of devotees. Worshipping them is the source of all good fortune. And Prabhupada says, to offer prayers to the Lord, one should first offer prayers to his devotees and associates. Text 83. Pratama shloke kahi samanya mangala charan Dvitiya shloke tekari vishesha vandan. In the first verse, I've invoked a general benediction But in the second, I have prayed to the Lord in a particular form. Bande Shri Krishna Caitanya Nityananda Sahoitao Goda Dodaya Pushpavantao Chitrao Shandao Tamao Nudao. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Shri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are like the sun and the moon. They have arisen simultaneously on the horizon of Gauda to dissipate the darkness of ignorance and thus wonderfully bestow benediction upon all. Wow, this is like one of the real nutshell verses of the Caitanya Charitamrta. Text 85. Brajaye Vihara Purve Krishna Balaram Koti Surya Chandra Jini Donhara Nijadam Sedvi Jagatere Haya Sadaya Goda Deshe Purva Shaile Karila Hudaya. Wow. Sri Krishna and Balaram, the personalities of Godhead who formerly appeared in Vrindavan and were millions of times more effulgent than the sun and moon, have arisen over the eastern horizon of Gaudadesh, West Bengal, being compassionate for the fallen state of the world. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Yanhara Prakashe Sarva Jagata Ananda. The appearance of Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Prabhu Nityananda has surcharged the world with happiness. Jai! It's really surcharging. Surya Chandra Hare Yache Saba Andakar Vastu Prakashya Kare Damera Prachar Emata Dvibai Jiver Akyan Tamonasha Kari Koya Tattva Vastudan. As the sun and moon drive away darkness by their appearance and reveal the nature of everything, these two brothers dissipate the darkness of ignorance covering the living beings and enlighten them with knowledge of the absolute truth. Wow. Where do you go? Text 90. Ajnana tamera nama kaiye koitav dharma artha kama moksha vancha arishab. The darkness of ignorance is called kaitava. That means cheating. Just like the Bhagavatam verse, dharma kaitava paramo nirmatsulan pojito kaitavo tra paramo nirmatsuranam satam. That this Bhagavatam throws away all cheating religion. The way of cheating, which begins with religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. This is all cheating. The four mundane anarthas: religiosity, just normal mundane religiosity, economic development, sense grad, and liberation are all cheating dharmas. And this is the verse that I just made reference to. Dharma protitakaita botrao paramo nimatsuranam satam vejam vastavyam atarvastu shivadam tapo trayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kimva Pararishvaraha Sadyo Hridyavarujyate Tra Kritibir Shushrushubesh Takchanat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, this great scripture, Srimad Bhagavatam, compiled by Mahamuni Vyasadeva from 4 original verses. Those are the nutshell verses we read in the beginning with the homily, Vasame Bhagre, describes the most elevated and kind-hearted devotees and completely rejects the cheating ways of materially motivated religiosity. Our Father in heaven, give us this day our daily bread. Give us this day our daily Tesla. It propounds the highest principle of eternal religion, which can factually mitigate the threefold miseries of the living being and award the highest benediction of full prosperity and knowledge. Those willing to hear the message of this scripture in a submissive attitude of service can at once capture the Supreme Lord in their hearts. Therefore, there is no need of any scripture other than Srimad Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada's purport. This verse appears in Srimad Bhagavatam, first chapter, text 2. The words Mahamuni Krite indicate that Srimad Bhagavatam was compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva. And remember, this word is compiled. Doesn't mean he's the author. He compiles it. That means it was existing previously, and he compiled it in a certain way. Who is sometimes known as Narayana Mahamuni because he is an incarnation of Narayana. But he's Shaktavesh incarnation. He's not Vishnu-tattva, he's Jiva-tattva. Vyasadeva, therefore, is not an ordinary man, but is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He compiled the beautiful Bhagavatam to narrate some of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees. In Srimad Bhagavatam, a distinction between real religion and pretentious religion has been clearly made. According to this original and genuine commentation on the Vedanta Sutra, that is the Bhagavatam, there are numerous pretentious faiths that pass as religion but neglect the real essence of religion. The real religion of a living being is its natural inborn quality, whereas pretentious means pretending. Religion, or the surface religion, is a form of nescience, darkness, that artificially covers a living entity's pure consciousness under certain unfavorable conditions. Real religion lies dormant when artificial religion dominates from the mental plane, as we see in America. A living being can awaken this dormant religion by hearing with a pure heart. The path of religion prescribed by Srimad Bhagavatam is different from all forms of imperfect religiosity. Religion can be considered in the following three divisions: the path of fruitive work, the path of knowledge and mystic powers, and the path of worship and devotional service. The path of fruitive work, karma kanya, even when decorated by religious ceremonies meant to elevate, like Satyanarayan Katha, meant to elevate one's material condition, is a cheating process because it can never enable one to gain relief from material existence and achieve the highest goal. A living entity perpetually struggles hard to rid himself of the pangs of material existence, but the path of fruitive work leads to him to either temporary happiness or temporary distress in material existence. By pious fruitive work, one is placed in a position where he can temporarily feel material happiness, whereas vicious activities lead him to a distressful position of material want and scarcity. However, even if one is put into the most perfect situation of material happiness, he cannot in that way become free from the pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease. A materially happy person is therefore in need of the eternal relief that mundane religiosity in terms of fruitive work can never award. Let's see how much further we have in this report. Let's see. Ooh, it's pretty far. Okay. Let's go back. I think we should end here so we can have time for questions. We always like to end at this time and take questions. Okay, we will continue with this purport tomorrow. Stop sharing. And then we will allow you to ask questions in a second. Okay, so does anyone want to ask questions?
Hare Krishna Gurudev, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hi, Krishna.
I have a question. I have a question regarding the Chaturvyuha forms of Krishna, the Vasudeva, Aniruddha,
Vasudeva, Shankarshan,
Pradyumna.
and Aniruddha, yeah.
Yes, can you explain those forms because I don't know about them?
Those are simply, let's say let's talk about Lord Ram. Okay, I think I can explain it better. We're talking about Lord Ram. Lord Ram is actually Vasudeva. There are four different expansions of Krishna. Or let's even talk about Krishna. Yeah, Krishna is the original Vasudeva in the first Chaturvyuha expansion. Not expansion, first Chaturvyuha manifestation. So you have Krishna, Balaram. Balaram is Sankarshan. And then you have Pradyumna, who is Krishna's son, and Aniruddha, who is Krishna's grandson. And then, as Lord Ram, You have Vasudeva, who appears as Lord Rama, of course. Sankarshan, who is Lakshman. And then you have Prajuna and Aniruddha, who is Bharata and Shatrughna, not responsibly. Anyway, you get the idea. So these are different manifestations of the Lord by which the Lord appears. Whenever the Lord appears in this world, he appears with all of these different expansions as well as other expansions. So hope that's clear. I mean,
Yes,
Vasudeva.
thank you
Okay,
very
the word
much.
Vasudeva means all pervading. Sankarshan means that which ties things together. Prajuna is like Cupid. Anyway, so there are these four different manifestations of the Lord. These are names of four different manifestations of the Lord that appear whenever the Lord appears. And just think of it like Ram, Lakshman, Prajuna, and Aniruddha when you think of that. Okay?
Thank you, Gurudev.
Okay. So okay, who else has a question? I guess we scared off Praneshwara after last night. He's definitely not anymore. Let me see, maybe he is. No. No. Yeah, he is. Oh my God. But I'm sure he's scared to ask any more questions after last night's exchange. So, who else has a question?
Hare
Nobody else?
Krishna Maharaj, Madhav.
Oh,
Hare
Madhav, good to
Krishna.
hear from you. We miss you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So I just wanted to know that Gopinath, that deity is worship established in Vrindavan in
By Madhu
addition to
Pandit.
other three deities.
By Madhu Pandit.
Also, that Gopinath was established by Madhu Pandit. Okay.
Yeah, not but the interesting thing is that let's say you have Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan, and Radha Govinda. They were established by the respective acharyas of that particular stage of devotional service. Like you have Radha Govinda is established by Rupa Goswami, who's the acharya of Abhideya, and Radha Madan Mohan was established by Sanatana Goswami, who is the acharya of Sambandha. But then you have Gopinath, who is the deity of Prayojana, who was not established by the acharya of Prayojana, which is Raghunath Das Goswami, but was established by Madhu Pandit, another one of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Yes, Maharaj. That I was not sure about that. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Now it's interesting. Let's say Raghunath Das Goswami found the deities of Radha Kund, which are called the Radha Krishna Puran Mandir, Puran deities, Radha Krishna Puran deities. And these deities were found when Raghunath Das Goswami was supervising the excavation of Radha Kund. They were actually found in the Kund, in the mud of the Kund. And they're worshipped on the side of Radha Kund. Just down an alleyway on the side of Radha Kund. Very, very beautiful deities. Actually, if I start talking about Radha Kund, I'm going to lament that I can't go there right now. And I probably won't be able to go there, in February either. But just pray that I can go sometime in the future to Radha Kund, Shaima Kund, Giri Govardhan. That's the worst part of this coronavirus, is we can't go to Braj. So, all right, who else has a question?
Hare Krishna Shri.
Oh, Shruti Priya, speak louder.
Okay, sorry. Can you hear me? Is it better?
I can hear you, but you're really low for everybody.
Okay. I was wondering if in like the Chaitanya times, if Vrinda Devi also arranges all of the pastimes.
Yes, in Braj she does. But in other places, Brindadevi expands to arrange for Krishna's pastimes. So that's the Yoga Maya potency of the Lord. I mean, of course, Yoga Maya in Braj is also Purnamasi. So Purnamasi is like an older lady, and Brindadevi actually works under her instructions. But outside of Braj, Purnamasi manifests differently to arrange for all of, or Yoga Maya arranges for Krishna's pastimes everywhere.
Okay.
Yoga
you.
Maya. But we are under Mahamaya. And Mahamaya is arranging for all of our, not pastimes, all of our suffering in this material world. So, Brenda Devi is not arranging for our suffering. So, any other questions? It's interesting. You can always see people driving a car and everything. Linikanta's driving a car right now, which is interesting. It's really interesting. This Zoom is so interesting. You can see people going down the road and things going by. And then you see Sumukh walking in the forest with his wife, loving walk. Anyway, so who else wants to talk or ask a question? No one else. No one. I hear someone. Okay, this is the last opportunity. 10, 9. Okay, Shruti Priya, you're going to ask another question.
Okay, thank you, Srila Gurudev. I was wondering, it was the verse that was talking about the different incarnations, like the partial, and then the qualitative, and then the empowered incarnations. It didn't give an example about an empowered incarnation.
Yes, it did. Srila Vyasadeva.
Okay.
Shaktavesh. I
Okay.
meant Shaktavesh avatar. Vyasadev's empowered incarnation. Narada Muni's empowered incarnation. Srila Prabhupada is an empowered incarnation. Prithu Maharaj is an empowered incarnation. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is an empowered incarnation. Any Jiva soul who is empowered with a specific potency, not only the potency to preach, but let's say the potency to rule, like Prithu Maharaj has, or even Parshuram is considered to be empowered rather than Vishnu Tattva by some acharyas. So these are different examples of empowered incarnations. In other words, you're given some power by the Lord, either to rule or to do something really amazing. And but you're not Vishnu Tattva, you're Jiva Tattva. That's
It's
what.
all in his.
What's that?
It's all in his service.
Yes, in Krishna's service. Oh, for sure. It's not that you'd be empowered to be a nonsense. Of course, you could say you're empowered by Maya to forget Krishna. I mean, that you can use that particular statement. Or, you've been blessed by your karma or you lose your energy to do something. I mean, in one sense, you could say everyone's empowered. But as far as empowered, considered an empowered incarnation of Krishna, that would be someone who was serving Krishna in a particular capacity, being imbued or given the power to do something. And Prabhupada was empowered to preach Krishna consciousness all over the world. So Prabhupada is a Shaktavesh avatar. Shakta Avesh means he's given the Shakti. Shakti means the potency. And the statement of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is Krishna Shakti Vinana He Tari Pravartana. Without being given the potency of Krishna consciousness, no one can preach Krishna consciousness. So there's some examples of Shaktavesh avatars or empowered incarnations. So, just one other question someone has an opportunity to ask?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Madhav Das again.
Okay,
Hare
Madhava.
Krishna. So the other Vaishnava sampradayas, their leaders also could be considered Saktives avatar?
Yes. Oh, for sure. For sure. You would consider Ramanujacharya. Actually, Ramanuja is specifically different because he is Vishnu Tattva. He's by many acharyas, he's considered to be Vishnu Tattva. He's considered to be an incarnation of Lakshman. That's why he's called Ram Anuja. But the other personalities are, yes, they'd all be considered Shaktavesh. Like Sripad Madhvacharya is considered to be the brother of Hanuman. Phew. And Bhimsen, too. So, but he's considered Jiva Soul. And Nimbark is also considered Jiva Soul, too. So you really have the acharyas of the different sampradayas, and of course the four Kumaras are empowered by the Lord's knowledge potency, and you'll find a definition of this in many different places in Srila Prabhupada's books. But the four Kumaras are empowered. Lord Brahma would be considered a Shaktavesh also. He's also Guna Avatar. So he acts sometimes as the Guna Avatar, the qualitative incarnation, and sometimes he acts as the Shaktavesh Avatar because he's the preacher. He's the head of our Sampradaya. So these personalities who can be classified as a particular type of avatar or expansion, it's not that they necessarily are only classified in one class. You know, someone could be a Shaktavesh avatar in the case of Lord Brahma, and also be a Guna avatar. And in the case of the Vishnu Tattva avatars, like you got the Lila avatar, can also be a Yuga avatar. So they're not mutually exclusive terms. One Yuga avatar could also be like Lord Caitanya. Lord Caitanya is the Yuga avatar, right? We know that. He's also Lila avatar. Yuga avatar because he teaches the Yuga Dharma. There's Lila avatar because he's doing Leelas like that. And so he's Vishnu Tattva. Anyway. And also, and sometimes sometimes the Manvanta avatar can be Vishnu Tattva, and sometimes the Manvanta avatar can be Jiva Tattva. Because sometimes the Manu means there's 14 Manus in each day of Lord Brahma. The Manu can be Jiva Tattva, and if there's no Jiva Tattva guy to fill in, then you have a Vishnu Tattva. One of the expansions of Krishna comes in. So, yeah, they're not mutually exclusive designations of any particular entity. So, hope that's not confusing. It's not.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's pretty easy to understand.
Yeah,
okay, so we're going to end now.
Gurudev?
Anyway, Adidev, you have a question. Okay.
Yeah, so we discussed various forms, right? So can you clarify on the deities, like what kind of forms they are considered, like are they considered
Sakshad Brajendra Nandana. Directly Krishna. Definitely not Shaktavesh avatar. Vishnu Tattva. Krishna's appearance, Sakshad Brajendra Nandana. Depending upon which deities you're talking about.
say, for example, the Vaikuntha form.
On the Vaikuntha form, they're Vishnu Tattva deities, obviously, but of Vaikuntha, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Prajuna, Aniruddha. We have Baladev deities, we have Krishna deities, we have Shakti deities, Radharani is Shakti Tattva.
So they're called Prakash Vigrahas, like Prakash.
That would be, yeah. Actually, we have deity of Krishna in Vrindavan, which Radha Golokananda, Krishna Golokananda, would be considered like Prakash Vigraha.
Okay.
And Radharani is, but I don't know if those terms are actually used in regard to the deities, but it's directly Krishna. It's not a different form. So
yeah, like we read the example like where Krishna is doing Rasa dance and he expands.
Yeah, it makes sense. So
Prakash Vigrahas. So
Prakash Vigraha. At the
Prakash.
same time, for those who are not on the highest level of devotional service, Radha and Krishna appear like Vishnu and Lakshmi. Prabhupada said we are worshiping Radha and Krishna in the mood of Lakshmi and Narayan. It's interesting. Just like when Krishna enters a particular place when he was on the planet, some people saw Krishna as death personified. Some people saw him as the most lovable object, and other people saw him as the most fearful object. So, yaya tamam prapajante tam sataiva pajamyaham.
Mm.
So it gets a little technical. But Radha and Krishna, yes, it's directly, it's Krishna. I wouldn't, I mean, I've never heard the deities referred to as Prakash Vigraha, but it's, Archa Vigraha, but it's the same Krishna. I've never heard that term used, but technically it's not different from Krishna and Vrindavan. He is not different than Krishna and Vrindavan. He is Krishna and Vrindavan.
He is Krishna. Okay,
Krishna
thank you.
Vrindavan. He's not Krishna in Dwarka. Unless you worship Rukmini Dwarkadish.
I'm happy with Radha Krishna.
So you can go to Los Angeles Temple, worship Rukmini Dwarkadish. No, that's Radha and Krishna too, but Prabhupada gave the name Rukmini Dwarkadish. And essentially, Prabhupada would give names sometimes according to the city, like Radha Paris Ishvara, or Radha London.
But I heard Gurudev that he did not really give. Actually, he just accepted it. I think someone.
Paris Ishvara, I think Prabhupada actually gave that name. He said, Krishna has come to Paris looking for the most beautiful girl.
Rukmini Dwarkadish I was talking about.
Oh, Rukmini Dwarkadish, I don't know. But I know the Paris one Prabhupada gave.
Mm.
He said, because Krishna has come to Paris looking for Paris has the most beautiful girls, and Krishna has come to Paris looking for the most beautiful girl. That's right. Prabhupada was very humorous. I mean, that is quite a humorous statement. Because Radharani is infinitely more beautiful than any of the so-called beautiful girls in Paris who just have material bodies filled with pus, blood, mucus, and stool.
Mm.
Even the most beautiful Paris model. And actually, they're quite ugly. Anyway, on that happy note, we're going to end class right now.
Thank you, Gurudev.
Gopal said that everyone's afraid to ask me questions because the way I dealt with Praneshwari yesterday. I don't think so. Praneshwari and I have a special relationship. Don't worry. Everybody's different. Okay, all glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.